Yeah.
All right, it's Jake Porter and Zach Luther on a Zoom version of the mentor meeting.
Nice.
Um, I'm going to share, I guess we'll do 4.1 because I like this one. Share my screen. So you can see everything okay?
I got it. Boom. Writing to
All right.
learn.
So what this was we had to do these literacy strategies and create an activity for the kids to help explain how to use it. So uh, writing to learn is a thing where um, you want to use like specific details. You teach the kids to write down the correct terminology. And like I've got my example here. George Washington was America's first president and a general during the Revolutionary War. Like that's what it's supposed to look like. But
Yeah.
you shouldn't say like, oh, I know George Washington was like really old and he founded America and stuff, you know.
Right.
Um, so I had to do I do, we do, you do with this. So this
Love it.
section, I gave the kids an example of what it looks like and what it doesn't look like. Uh, this we do, I had two versions of this. One was blank, and that's what I would give to the kids. But this one I had to put answers on. So like, what do we know? And then we put that into a sentence. Why does that matter? Then we put that into a sentence, give an example, and then you build on that. And so we're teaching them to uh, kind of structure their paragraphs here. So you see like, we put he's the commander. He was brave, he's strong, he kept his soldiers motivated. He led an attack across the Delaware River. So then in the end, George Washington was important because he was the leader of the Continental Army. And
Yeah.
he was important because he did this, right?
Yeah.
And then,
Supporting details. Yes.
yeah. And then the final part of it here is we do you do. So that would be like independent time. Uh, and I just essentially put the same categories but just left it blank.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not too
Awesome.
complicated here.
Yeah.
Do you ever have like activities like this? Like how do you like to
Oh,
implement?
no. I mean, I think you're spot on. I feel like this stuff has to happen, especially the modeling, you know?
Yeah.
So obviously, I think this is that like that's a great start, right? And
Hmm.
then you would probably want another one that like you don't mod like it's the same questions, right? But it's not like you're not giving them the George Washington answers that like let's say you did George Washington, right? And then you help them do George Washington. But then like let's say you're on to Abraham Lincoln, but you don't model that one. So like
Hmm.
you could see like the scaffolding
Yeah,
processes of it, right?
right.
Because a lot of times then it starts getting to, well, oh, I'm just going to remember what he said or did, and I'm just going to tweak it a little.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's not what you want. But this is a great opening strategy to get them to finally like, okay, this is what he's looking for this next topic,
Right.
right? Oh, I love it. I think it's great.
Cool.
And let's say we've dealt with some students that are super like they see like those four questions and they might like shut down. You know this.
Yeah.
Like if it's a little more open-ended or if you're looking for like more detail, then you might want to chunk it a little more. So
Hmm.
like start with one question first and we talk about that what do you know question.
Yeah.
And we talk about that for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And then you go back and forth and then you get to the next, well, why were those things important? Instead
Yeah.
of just throwing it all at them. But you know this. You know the names that like some might need a little more chunky.
Hmm.
That's it.
So you would differentiate your pace depending on who it is and what their
Exactly.
needs are.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
You know,
makes
you
sense.
like because if you threw all four of those, the what do you know, why is it important, give an example, final response, you may only get for some students one great answer,
Yeah.
and then the rest of three are just kind of like quick. They thought they were done.
Yeah. I
You
kind of did. I wanted to do this part here, the we do, because I don't want them to directly paraphrase it, but it kind of gives you an idea of like what you're looking for, right? So like, what do you
Right.
know? He was this. So then I go in my textbook or my Edgenuity or whatever after the war. I go find
Yeah,
something after the war, like just kind of
right.
give them something to go off of.
Of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
cool. I think I got to give you one more question.
Okay.
Um, oh, I was just doing special ed certification stuff. Let me think of that. Um, so say you have this activity in a classroom where you have gen ed and special ed, right? How are you going to differentiate uh, for your special ed students and your gen ed students while keeping it kind of like, least restrictive environment, right? Like you have them together. But how are you going to manage the instruction of gen ed kids at the same time as the instruction of the special ed kids?
Well, I think like actually that's good. Like the chunking thing does come into play, right? Or you can kind of put this in groups, like what I could always like maybe a select few aren't doing like some are on George Washington, a select few like maybe in the gen ed population are doing like a different topic or answering a different thing.
Hmm.
But then you have like maybe the TA or the actual teacher with a group that is, that need that extra support. So you might have like five different groups in the classroom, so to say. And just know that you have like kind of one TA, like kind of around the two groups mostly that are like need that extra probably support. They're just
Yeah.
they're, one TA or the teacher's like kind of hawking those two groups, right? Same kind of material, but you just know like those other groups can kind of handle getting through all of those questions kind of by themselves and they can kind of ask each other questions where that TA or that teacher with like the maybe the specialized groups that need a little more support is kind of right there to kind of ask those kind of motivating questions a little more, get
Yeah.
them thinking a little more. Where like a couple of them would just probably want to shut out right away. Well, I
Right.
don't know what to do. Then I don't know what to do, and that's where that TA can just kind of jump in, ask some leading questions to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
cool.
That's just one strategy. There's probably
Yeah.
many.
Uh, I learned about something.
Yeah.
Uh, the thing that I'm on right now in module 4 is how they evaluate, tier one, tier two, tier three, and the
Hmm.
uh,
Intervention processes.
yeah, is it universal assessment? Is that what it's called? Like when
Oh,
they
like
do everyone.
it's kind of very like benchmarking assessments,
Yeah.
universal assessments. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So they were saying that you should use that at the beginning of the year to try to determine how your groups are going to look, and you can
Uh-huh.
put kids together based on their academic performance and kind
I
of
think I think that's a great like that's a great part of the soup, so to say.
yeah.
Like it's a much needed part, but in my opinion, like it also comes down to those select like those kids that oh they're just really good academic test takers, but
Mhm.
you put them in a group or in a classroom and then they're that's not the kid that was taking like they can't focus or so it's
Right.
a variety of things that benchmarking I think is very very important, but it's not the end all be all of I think putting groups. You're not going to put three kids together in the same group that are like big ADHD, so to say,
Hmm.
right? They can't focus. So you put them all through together, and then they're really going to be off task, right?
Right.
So they could be one on one extremely great with the benchmarks,
Hmm.
So it's a great tool, the benchmarking. They're for academic performance, but there's also that classroom performance that
Yeah.
comes into play as
Not
well.
the be all end all.
It's not the be all end all. It's just a part of the soup. Part
I
of the
like
soup.
that. Part of the
Yeah.
soup.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right.
Uh,
Thank you. And Mr.
Appreciate it.
Porter, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right. See ya.